Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Aurora. I am a aura practitioner, A.U.R.A, and it's Angelic Universal Regression Alchemy. And today we are making a video as far as a follow-up. I know you all have been asking for follow-ups from clients and see how they are, how are they now, how are the healing. We have Kimberly here that we are so excited to have with us, and she's had a phenomenal session. I think definitely one of my favorites, where she took us, and I will put the link below, where she took us through, and the title is Ancient Builder Race Galactic History of Reptilians on Earth. And she took us through a timeline of the reptilians and how they got here, and the connections that she had there with the ancient builder race. If you want to go ahead and say hi and just introduce yourself.
Hi. So, and also because I'll be linking this video to my channel, I go by the name of Aria when I'm reading, which is the name of my higher self. And so just wanted to put that out there as well. So I reached out to you for a healing session after I had already been suffering from this severe itching that I had developed about 6 months before. March, April, about 8 months before. And I had discovered that it's actually from celiac disease. And so the thing is that about 20% of the people who have celiac disease, rather than having kind of like a abdominal reaction to eating gluten, they have this itching skin. And it's really severe. In fact, doctors say that it's one of the most itchy skin conditions that there is known. Wow. And the general treatment for it is to get on a very, very high potent antibiotic, which is strange because antibiotics, the disease is not related to bacterial infection at all. But for some reason, this one type of antibiotic, which is actually used to treat leprosy, is the only thing that they've ever discovered that alleviates the itching. But that antibiotic, of course, is something you have to take daily for up to 2 years. Wow. And it's extremely powerful, and you actually have to have blood tests constantly to make sure you're not reacting to it, because you could die from the antibiotic. So this is the only known treatment. Of course, then you have to quit eating gluten, but even after you quit eating gluten, you'll typically have itching for up to 2 years. Most people have the itching. It's very strange that it continues for so long after you quit eating gluten. And so I had already stopped eating gluten for about 6 months or more at the time that we were talking. But the itching was something that would come and go, but mostly be really intense. And when I spoke to you, it had gotten worse and worse and worse again. Like I was going through another huge bout of it that every single thing that I would try to do to try to manage the itching was not working. One thing I want to say too, before you and I worked, I did a lot of deep inner child healing with inner healing with another healer friend of mine, who also I would like to just give a shout out to her, because the work that we did, I think, set up the groundwork for the healing that you and I did, because there's still like those roots to things that are very, very deep, and that you need to come to like recognize, where they're at. And so we'd had a number of sessions, and her name is Lisa. She goes by Lisa of Green Woman Wisdom. So if we can put her link in the message below. And then
thank you for bringing that up, by the way, because basically, as you've seen, as we teach, is that we are a beautiful big puzzle piece. You have gone through your own healings, either within yourself or with other healers. It is important that we recognize that, yes, I'm sure you had additional help even prior. To set you up for the fruition of this. Yeah.
And when I reached out to you, I felt that I had done all of the inner work. I felt like I had done the work of the healing of the root causes and the discoveries and things that I needed to have from it, because basically I believe that illnesses they happen as a manifestation of something that you need to have your awareness drawn to. Yes. So a lot of times if we just try to heal the symptom and we don't end up like getting to what's really below it, then that thing, it will still come back. Yes. And so, we had really done a lot of work, but I felt at that point we'd done the inner work, and it was more just like this outer, the physical body was just so used to itching, it didn't want to just let go of the itching. I felt like that was the part that needed to go.
Yes.
And I was guided to reach out to you because, you know, it just came to me. I had been watching your videos and really touched and, you know, moved by them. And so I reached out to you. We did the healing. And when you and I talked, I was just absolutely severe itching. I couldn't even, like, I was just constantly, it was a lot in my head, in the back of my neck, but other areas, elbows, there's certain places that it'll manifest. And when we had the session, during the session, at the very end, when we did the healing, the itching stopped immediately. Like, it was gone. And up until then, I was itching 24/7, just insane. And I did not feel any itching at all for about 3 days, literally just no itching. And then it would begin to come back just a little bit. And I would just put my fingers and I would just tell it, you don't need to itch anymore.
Yes.
And I've continued to have to do that on a, like, because this itching is something that I feel like, you know, there's still like this aspect of, like, we've done all of this energy work and this energy healing, but the physical body still has to catch up, I think, and kind of go through that process of manifesting the healing fully. And so I've been very, you know, patient with that. I think sometimes we have an expectation that we just want to have instant healing and there's nothing left. But I'll have to say I went from a threshold of, you know, 1 to 10, and I went down to like about a 1 or a 2. And then on actually most of the time not feeling it at all. So really down to a 0. And on occasion feeling just a tiny twinge, and I just put my fingers on it and I tell it doesn't need to itch, and it goes away. And this is significant because in common medical practice, it takes up to 2 years for people's itching to go away once they get on a gluten-free diet. So for me to right now, I'm at about a year having been on gluten-free. I quit eating gluten actually right after Valentine's Day a year ago is when I totally stopped. I'd been cutting it back and I totally stopped then. So for within the time that we had the healing done was
in
6 months later. Yeah. So 6 months later, the itching was completely gone. So I really, it's a testament to this modality of healing. It really works.
Thank you. Thank you. It means so much to us. I think it's also very important that you brought up the fact that it does take some time for the physical body to catch up. So basically you go in, you heal the emotion, you heal the energy. You've already had done your homework doing that. So now we needed to take care of the energy within the vessel to heal it. And it does take time to catch up. For example, you know, if you have the Epstein-Barr virus, the multiple sclerosis, that kind of thing can take up to maybe even a year to finally get rid of the completely heal the physical symptoms of it. If you will notice those reliefs right away, the differences, which would be just phenomenal for you. I'm sure I can't even, you know, imagine, you know, feeling very itchy like that at such a high scale, like you said, up to a 10. So that brings me such joy to my heart, because you know what I do, what we do is we do everything, you know, love for others. And it is just a beautiful honor to be able to hear back from you. I'd love to hear back, and we're going to continue try to reaching out to others and see how they're doing. It is a joy to me and my heart, and to everyone who helped you through the healing, to know how you are now. And I'm sure the people who listen and watch your video are so happy to see you here, and to see you pretty much healed. And what a beautiful joy it is. So thank you.
Yeah.
You've been having a lot going on as far as your soul expansion. So tell us about that.
Yeah, well, you know, of course, I began this journey of awakening back in 2014 when I had what I would call a catalytic heart awakening experience, when I met someone that, you know, really just shook up my world. And a lot of people call it like a twin flame experience or divine partner, you know, that kind of a thing. But that was the beginning for me. And since then, I think it completely shifted out of like living a normal 3D world where I was a clinic director of a methadone clinic of all things. And I ended up quitting my job, and then it was, a series of circumstances. It wasn't like all on purpose just to, oh, I'm going to shake up my life. But I am a Scorpio, so I have that Phoenix, like just burn it all down and rise up from the ashes. And it's really what I've been doing for the last
That's the best way to do
5
it.
years now. Yeah, exactly. And so in that process, there's been a lot of things that I've been experimenting or like growing with, like getting more into creating things. Well, I've always been very creative, but but then also wanting to like live life in a different way. So I gradually built up a business that I can do where it only takes me about anywhere from an hour to maybe 4 hours a day. I'm an Airbnb host is what I have. And so in my home, my dad and I built this house, and I have some like different apartments, that little units I rent out. Last summer, we built a cabin and added on to that. So doing those kinds of creative projects. But then I also was always feeling like I want to do something more in the spiritual realm. And I had an app that I was working to develop, and then ended up setting that whole project aside. But in the process of that, because that really took up my time and absorbed all my energy for a couple of years, and there was one point there where I felt like, oh, that was just a failure. It wasn't going to work. That just, didn't pan out the way I wanted to. But in the process of that, I developed a lot of very interesting and unusual different skills that I'd never had before. I learned how to use Photoshop, and so creating images and things like that, and then also learning app development. And so over the last year, a little over a year, I've been working on developing another app in actual card and tarot reading, because that's something that I also developed a skill in order to tap into my higher knowing through tarot cards. And so I also have started a YouTube channel where I do card readings as well. It really with the goal that once I have the app ready, then I have more of a kind of a place to present it, a landing place. So about the time that I started this YouTube channel, I kind of switched from using always tarot to starting to use Lenormand cards as well. I think I still love the tarot, but I got a little bored almost with just that tool, because really they're all intuitive tools, and there's so many intuitive tools we can use. And so I started using Lenormand cards, and I found those to be a lot of fun. And I've developed now, within just the last about 2.5 weeks, I began developing my own deck of cards. And I basically took the 36 Lenormand cards and created another 36 cards that's like a nuance of the original 36. So now I have the 72. And then I'm developing another 36 set of cards that are spirit animals and the signs of the zodiac that can be used with that. So you could basically take these 3 decks of cards. They could all be used separately, or you could combine them and use them all together. And it adds a lot of like texture. And what I'm actually calling it is a Lenuance. Instead of Lenormand, it's the Lenuance Oracle Cards deck. And so as soon as I have all these images ready, which would just actually be today, I have only 4 more to go of this 108 cards, which is a sacred number, as you know. So we're having 108 cards, and I'll be creating a Kickstarter campaign so they can raise money to go ahead and publish a bunch of these cards and to sell them. And then eventually those same images and cards, that concept will be in the app that I'm developing as well. And I'm kind of looking at using these cards as a stepping stone for the money I need to develop the app, because I already got an app developed with kind of which is really only a beta version. It's not polished enough to launch publicly. And so I have to basically scrap that, start all over to get a better polished version. And so I have the app developer lined up. He's an amazing awakened person that I met on Twitter just randomly. Started following him. He's an amazing writer. And I find out he's also an app developer. So he's going to develop my app. And I'll use the money from these cards that I'm selling now to build the app. And then the cards will be in the app as well. So those are the projects I have going on. And it is really exciting to just have something that you're doing that really feels like you're fulfilling a higher purpose. Because I really believe that those of us who are light workers, that's what we came to do, to impact the world by just doing things in a different way, living life differently.
Yes. And I was seeing a vision as you were talking about your cards. And I saw it like a beautiful extension, a beautiful tool for ourselves, for anyone. Say, you know, we, instead of us going to pay for a reading constantly, we
Mm-hmm.
need guidance, right? Every day you wake up and you're like, I need some kind of guidance. Like, I wonder what my day is going to be like. What kind of energies are going to come forth today? What do I need to watch out for? You know, and I saw it being almost like a sense, kind of like being placed into part, I wouldn't say ritual, but like a way that you would, okay, so you would meditate, you would, you know, draw your cards, and then it will be that inner guidance. And the way that you have created it, because you're such a beautiful pure soul, it is very important that when we create things, we create it from intent of love for one another, for others, service to others. And you have that. So first of all, lovely. And because of that, and when people draw it, it's going to be very, very accurate and very clear for them. So to me, it brings me such joy to know that you will be helping others in the sense where it can help lift their energy, lift their vibration, give them guidance for that day, so that they're able to have the best possible day that they can have within. Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
I'm so excited that you saw
Yeah.
all of that, because
Oh,
that is
absolutely.
exactly what
Uh,
the app that I'm developing, and it's so interesting that I kind of went backwards. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I started with
yeah,
the
me
app,
too.
and now I'm going backwards to create the
Mhm.
images. But then these cards will actually be a lot of what the app is like. But the app is very unique. There's nothing out there like on the market like it, and it enables the user to tap into their own higher knowing and
Mhm.
to intuitively pick out the words and pull words and phrases together from the cards that are drawn in the app, and then create an actual reading. Like you select them and they pop into, and you can do it like a journal. And so your app will save your your daily readings, or however often you want to do them. It'll save
Wow.
them. You can create readings for other people, and it's exactly what you said. My whole goal with the app and with the cards as well, same thing, is that every single person has the ability to tap into their own higher knowing.
Yes.
And yet we still need tools, because we're in this transition between 3D reality and creating a 5D world. And I don't know how much longer it's going to be until we're truly all moving into the 5D. Might be many more lifetimes, generations before that fully happens. It's a process.
Yes.
And the way it begins is by everyday people starting to learn, I have an intuition, because that was my whole awakening experience. I was actually taught from childhood to not pay attention to my intuition, because I came into a really religious background where it was like, here's a book that tells you everything you need to know about God and how to live your life to be holy. And anything that's not according to this Bible is you can't trust. And in fact, I was literally specifically taught not to trust my inner knowing. And
Mhm.
I know that not all Christianity is taught that way, but the version that I grew up in, that's how it was taught. It was like, you're a sinful wretch that you
Mhm.
would deserve to die, except Jesus came and died for you. And
Yeah.
so because of that, we're so awful and horrible, we can't trust what comes out of us. And
Yes.
so I had a lot of deprogramming to go through, and
Mhm.
then learning that I do have inner knowing. And there's so many other people who are like where I was, or even at different stages of that growth process. And for me, the tarot cards were the number one thing that I began doing. I went the very beginning of my awakening journey, and I realized that something was happening to me that I needed answers for, that I couldn't find from everything I knew. And so I just got tarot cards and started learning how to tap into my higher knowing through them. And so I'm
Yes.
wanting to give them, because it's a lot of work. I mean, I was doing probably card readings and studying tarot for probably 2-3 hours or 4 hours a day. On the weekends, I would do it all day long. And I
Yes.
did that for several years. And then also, same thing with Lenormand. I've really been studying a lot about how to use these tools. And most people don't have the time to do that. And so
Yes.
by giving a bridge, like my cards actually have words on them. And I'm going to be like using them, and people can see how to use them and just pull those words out. So you don't have to spend hours studying them in order to learn how to tap into those
Mhm.
messages.
Yes.
And same thing with the app when it comes out. So I just want to make another plug for this Kickstarter campaign. by anybody who decides to buy these cards, you're also enabling me to get this app developed so that, and the app will use tarot cards, Lenormand cards, oracle cards, will be all kinds of things, and really hoping that this really goes well, so I can help raise the money to create that and get that tool out there for everyone to use.
Absolutely. We'll put the link below so that people can buy the cards. And when will the cards be available?
Well, the taking the time of publishing, sorry, can't speak.
Yeah.
The publication time span is probably about 2 or 3 weeks, but I need to have the Kickstarter running long enough to raise the money. So I'm thinking I'll probably choose a 60-day period with the Kickstarter campaign, and then it'll be delivered, within another 3 or 4 weeks after that. So probably wouldn't take delivery till about 3 months from now.
Very good.
But the images are ready to go, and I'm like literally, if I had the money right now, I would just publish them, and they would be ready, within 3 weeks. But I don't have the money to publish them until I do the campaign.
Yes, lovely. Wow. Yes, incredible. And a little more to that is, it's significant that you talked about how we're deprogrammed, how we don't trust our inner knowing. So this is a beautiful bridge for others to connect to their higher selves, to their higher knowing, by using the tarot cards. And it will help them build themselves up, build up their confidence, build up their gifts, start, loving themselves more, finding themselves more comfortable within their vessel, within their shell. So yes, what a beautiful service that you are going to provide for others, and blessings to you, blessings to you. Let us know if there's anything that we can do to support you and your campaign to, get this rolling. And let me think, I felt like there was something else that came up as you were talking. Oh, and then something else too is, I remember when we had your interview in the A.U.R.A session, I remember how you were in a time where you didn't know what to do with this. You were kind of like stuck. You're like, what am I going to do? And it's so beautiful to see, as the interviewer, as the practitioner, to see a client go from trying to figure out what they're going to do with what they're trying to create, and now seeing to how you have that very clear focus and that clear plan that's working abundantly, very beautiful for you. So what a beautiful transformation to see.
Yeah, I'll have to say that, let's see, when you and I spoke, I had already been in the process of developing the app, and it was like, I was having issues. I had it developed in India, and just same as my experience before, it's like I can get it to a certain point, but never fully get it polished up. And then the team of people start, like, it just becomes difficult. Like, you get to a certain point, and it was so close to being done, and I just had to scratch it. And I've learned in this process of my whole, journey, about the importance of just surrendering and letting it go. And you can only step forward as much as you can. And there's this fine balance between pushing enough, like not like just sitting back and like expecting everything to just fall in your lap like that, but at the same time, like kind of a balance with that flow. And if you're just being stopped and there's no way forward, then you just really, surrender that, and then, step forward as you can. The pace is a lot slower in this way of doing things than I would like. That part of our human nature that just wants to get things done. I'm a type A personality. It has not been easy for me to learn how to just relax and let things go. And the thing that taught me that was, when I do push forward too much and far ahead, then things just start really falling apart and not working well. Yes. And so I surrendered that. And it was only about a month or so later that on Twitter, I just randomly started following this one author, and I started interacting. In fact, if we could put his link to his website here, it'd be great. His name is James True, and I started following him because he's a very enlightened, awakened, aware, and questioning what's going on in the world. And so I loved his articles, but then I also read one of his articles, and he just randomly mentioned that he also does IT. So I had no idea what kind of IT he did. And I just randomly messaged him and said, hey, I was wondering what kind of IT you do. It turns out he does exactly what I need. That is his expertise. And he is a top-notch, like high level ability of work. And the stuff that he does, like from an IP perspective, the apps he's developed in virtual reality and all kinds of things are just amazing. And so it turns out, though, because he's aligned with the idea, his whole focus of his writing is waking up and tapping into our own inner knowing and listening to our bodies and knowing, you know, that there's so much more to us than meets the eye, and then wanting to help people wake up to their own intuitive abilities. It's like the perfect marriage for him, because it's his interest and passion to develop an app along this line. He's super excited about it. And it's just so random. How did I end up meeting him on Twitter? And he lives in North Carolina, across the country from me. And I actually ended up going out there. This is crazy. I had already booked a trip just for me, just for fun, to go view the fall colors. And I was going to be from Atlanta, and I was going to go all the way up to North Carolina. And then it was like about a month later that I contacted him and find out that he lives there. And so I was able to see him on my trip. It just blows my mind, you know, how the universe works that way.
How beautiful.
And I was considering several different, I just like to go on trips. I was thinking Colorado, New England, and I was like, just randomly, well, Atlanta. And so, you know, that's just the way the universe works. So, you know, talking about just for other people who are following this, because I know I have a lot of clients who are reaching out to me for readings, and they're very similar. Like we're starseeds. We understand we have a mission. We're wanting to do something. We have ideas, and you know, like it's not always easy to figure out how to get from this idea and then getting it out. And I have had so many like tries. I've tried so many ways, and I tried this and I tried that, and I've had to let things go that weren't easy to let go. And yet in the process, every one of those experiences helped build skills, help build abilities, and help build confidence, and, you know, also just that experience of growth, until eventually something is going to finally, you know, get out there. But I do have that frustration sometimes when I'm like, I'm so close to so many things and never quite got to that, like it's actually launched. So I'm feeling like these cards is like a good bridge to that, because I get big ideas, like I have this big app, but, you know, like that was still had to get set aside for a while. And now I'm like, wait, the cards, I could really do the cards. I could publish these cards if I raised a minimum of $5,000. I would like to raise more, because then I could get my printing costs even lower. But that's my goal. And that's a good bridge, because, you know, to develop an app and to market the app is going to, you know, take probably $50,000. And James will do it for a lot less, because he's, you know, really working with this with me in a process. So I don't know if he'll do it for a lot less. You know, there'll be some kind of thing will work out. You know, he'll get remunerated as well. But anyway, so it's just, I wanted to share that, because I know a lot of people struggle with this kind of moving things forward and how to do that.
Yes, it is very significant that you did, because when we are creating the thought form, we're creating a project in service, you know, for others, as the manner that you are. It is significant that we align ourselves with people who are within the same type of mentality, the same type of frequency. And that is exactly what you found. You know, you found that fit there with him. His energy feels very beautiful. What a blessing it is that you found him. And it is hard, because in times when you're trying to create something, people will come into your life that perhaps are not aligned with your type of frequency, that will distract you, that will hold it back, the process of it at times. So it is very important that when we are trying to create something, we connect and align ourselves with people who are in the same type of thought form. Yes. Right. Yeah. That will help it flow even easier. Thank you. Awesome. Lovely. Lovely.
So everybody stay warm out there. I don't know where you guys are, but we have tons and tons of snow here.
Yes.
I know it's been so cold across the country.
It has been so cold. It's below zero here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for being you. Thank you for all that you, thank you for sharing your session. What a beautiful ripple your session has created for others in hope and love and awareness. As you know, that's what we really focus in our channel. And I looked at your YouTube channel and I subscribed, so we'll put the link below.
Oh, thank you.
Subscribe as well. Very beautiful, but abundance and prosperity for you there. Yeah, you have a good amount of already subscribers. I think it was like, what was it, like 1,700?
Yeah, about 1,700, and I just started in December. And the last 2 weeks I haven't been posting videos. I was doing really good at faithfully doing it, but when I get into a zone of just wanting to create and you know, I kept thinking, oh, I'll be done with this in a couple more days, and then I'll do videos. And of course, it always takes longer than you think it will. So, but I'll be posting here pretty soon. So, you know, on a more regular basis again.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for doing that and being that bridge for others to connect to their higher selves. Thank you for their higher knowing.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for reaching out to me for this session too.
Yes. And what is your YouTube channel's name?
Oh yeah, it's the Intuit Cafe, and the actual name of my app will be Intuit, because the whole idea is, you know, it's a play on words. Of course, it's like you get into it, and it's you're intuitive. You are intuitor. You're intuiting. You know, so that's kind of the idea. And then Intuit Cafe, I just kind of thought, you know, I'm trying to produce videos that will give people kind of, they can pick and choose, you know, using their own intuition. Again, I still feel like, for example, when I'm creating a reading, it's somebody's own inner knowing is what helps them know whether this reading is meant for them or not. You know, people wonder, how do general readings work? Well, there's two reasons that they work. One is that we, you know, all of humanity is basically repeating the same, major themes of life experiences that are represented in the major arcana. You know, the journey of the Fool that goes through all of the different archetypes. And so, you know, our experiences often have a lot of, you know, resonating patterns. And then secondly, you know when it's meant for you because your inner knowing tells you that this is right for you right now. So.
Yes. Beautiful.
Very thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for doing this follow-up as well for everyone out there. And blessings and abundance to you, sister. We love you, honor you, and respect you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As a longtime tarot card user, I recently took the leap into learning Lenormand, another great intuitive divination tool for accessing the higher knowing of our subconscious mind. Developed in the 18th century by a famous seer, it has a unique voice and direct approach to everyday matters in life. With just 36 cards and simple imagery of things like the sun, the moon, a letter, or a tree, this system delivers thousands of specific meanings through corresponding two-card pairs. That's a vast possibility of intuitive messages, but the task of becoming proficient in its use is truly daunting. To tackle the learning curve, I decided to create a Lenormand-based oracle of my own that would be visually appealing, but also contain easy-to-read keywords to convey the card's various possible meanings, and contain additional cards that could represent the most common two-card pairs. It would also include timing cards, because who doesn't want to know when something is going to occur? The final result of my creative design process has yielded a trilogy, 3 sets of 36 cards for a total of 108. The picturesque Lenormand Oracle is a beautiful, classic oracle with warm, inviting images evocative of old photo albums. The nuanced Lenormand Oracle contains additional cards that were carefully chosen to represent the meanings of the most common two-card pairs from the Lenormand. The Zodiac and Spirit Animal Oracle contains 12 cards to represent each sign of the zodiac and to address timing, but also to show up in a reading as a particular person, similar to the tarot court cards. A number of animals showed up with powerful things to say. Their voices add nuance and reveal secrets of spirit and remind us of our connection to Source. I'm also offering a collector's bonus exclusive to this campaign. It is 10 additional cards that are the planets, including the sun and the moon, and when paired with the 12 signs of the zodiac, they actually form the major arcana from the tarot. This Kickstarter will fund the first run edition of the Nuance Oracle Trio, and subsequent sales will finance the completion of Intuit, an intuitive divination app I've developed based on the tarot and Lenormand. The rewards are as follows. I'm completely finished with the Intuit Nuance Oracle Trio card images. So as soon as the campaign is over, they will be sent immediately to the printers. Thank you so much for your support. I truly can't wait until they're printed, packaged, and shipped to you, and I'm confident that you'll enjoy using them as much as I have enjoyed creating them.